Hello, Rune Scholar, wherever and whenever you are. I'm the Modern Erilar. With this video, I'm kicking off a series of episodes on how to write in runes. So today, I'd like to talk about a fundamental decision in writing, choosing a direction in which to write. We can make that decision when we choose to write in runes because the direction for runic writing sometimes had consistent trends, but was never completely fixed, whatever period we study. In the earliest periods of runic writing, when Elder Futhark was used to write Proto-Scandinavian, the predecessor language to what you might call Old Norse, the direction of the script was very flexible. This flexibility was possible because the shapes of the Elder Futhark runes had multiple features that distinguished them from one another. It's possible to write a rune either backwards or upside down and still be able to tell which rune it was intended to be. So this gives rune writers options. As modern English speakers, we most commonly encounter Dextrograde writing, where the text proceeds from left to right. So here in Dextrograde, I have written Je Erilar waritu, or I the Erilar write. But we have other options when writing in Elder Futhark. In a fully sinistrograde inscription, the runes are read from right to left. And in sinistrograde inscriptions, the runes themselves also are formed in the direction of writing. So all runes in the inscription look like they are mirrored. The Korstad inscription is a good example of this. The text starts at the right and proceeds left, and the rune shapes also flow from right to left. Sinistrograde inscriptions appear throughout runic practice, so we have later examples as well. The inscription on this medieval grave slab from Mariakirken in Oslo proceeds from right to left, and the direction of the runes aligns with the reading direction. One additional option for writing direction is an alternating pattern called Boustrophedon, or literally as the ox plows. The first line is read from left to right, and in the second line, the text is read from right to left, and the direction of the runes reverses. In this inscription from Thun, the text does exactly that. The first line here is from right to left, and the runes align with that writing direction, and then the second line proceeds from right to left, and the shape of the runes follows the reading direction there. I've seen this type of Boustrophedon more frequently with Elder Futhark inscriptions, but in this example from the Viking Age, we can see a different type of Boustrophedon where the text is all read from left to right, but the orientation of the line flips over. This style I've seen more frequently in connection with younger Futhark runes, and this may be because during the Viking Age, it is much more common for the runes to be read from left to right. So you can see here, the direction of the writing is from right to left, but then this line is upside down to us. I have turned this 90 degrees to make the first line a little easier to read, but if you're reading this in the correct orientation with the vertical lines, you would be flipping your head from one side to another to follow the direction of the runes, as it does sort of a winding back and forth ox plow kind of a pattern. So this style is what happens whenever you get the text direction solidifying more from left to right, dextrograde. This pattern is also true for inscriptions in the Anglo-Saxon futhorc, though their transition came much earlier because of the close contact with Latin literacy earlier in the British Isles. The orientation of individual runes with respect to the overall writing direction also became more regular in inscriptions that use the Younger Futhark, but all Futharks had at least intermittent exceptions. So let's talk about some types. If only some runes are mirror image to the direction of writing when compared with the normal forms of the runes, these are called retrograde runes, reversed runes, or venderuner. We can see reversed runes on the Hjulvarstone. The Onsus and the Berkena runes are backwards from how we might expect to see them, but they're still recognizable. The Dolby stone also gives us a reversed rune in this Sol rune in the middle line, but we also have several runes in this inscription that are carved upside down relative to the orientation of the others. The Tyr and the Kaun rune from this particular name that seems to have been spelled Itinkill, possibly Steinkill. These letters are upside down, and these are called inverted runes, or stupruner. Sinistrograde, reversed, and inverted runes could be used without causing ambiguity in Elder Futhark, but in the transitional period between Elder and Younger, we start to find more instances of confusion in inscriptions, often between the new short twig signs for a couple different runes that look very similar. One of these pairings is Tyr and Lauger. The second is between Or and Naudr. In Younger Futhark, especially in short twig rather than long branch, the distinctions between runes could be limited to a single feature, so directionality and orientation started to be much more meaningful with the Younger Futhark. In this section of a charm from Bergen, the name Elizabeth was written Elisabeth, probably a Tyr corrected to a Lauger. Karin Fjellheimer-Seim felt that this was probably due to a lack of writing training, such as the mirrored letters that young children today perform in the initial phase of writing training. This error was much less common in Sweden, though, where the long branch Tyr rune with 2 twigs contrasted much more with the Lauger than the single twig version commonly used in Norway. Svante Lagman documented this kind of error only 9 times out of a total of 12,250 occurrences of these runes in the Swedish material. Inscription N179 from Roland uses both the Naudr and the Or runes for this short A sound. So inscriptions themselves are not necessarily internally consistent. This confusion between Or and Naudr runes was not hugely common, though. Svante Lagman documented this kind of error in 51 inscriptions out of 2,500 that he studied, or 75 runes out of 22,300, so depending upon how you count it, either 2% or as little as 0.3% of the runestones that were part of his study. To sum up, Elder Futhark could be Dextrograde or sinistrograde. Anglo-Saxon Futhark tended to be Dextrograde, and in Younger Futhark inscriptions from the Viking Age onwards, the typical writing direction is Dextrograde. Deviations from this pattern during the Viking Age and medieval periods were rare, but as I pointed out with the grave slab from Oslo, they did exist. So if you want to write in runes, now you know what was typically done, so you can make an informed choice for your own writing direction. I hope this helps you make one of the fundamental decisions for how to start writing in runes. Next time, I will talk about linearity and spatial orientation. Thank you for writing the runes with me, the Modern Erilar.